right. So, uh, hello, I'm Heather,
I'm Cardyn.
and welcome to the Bitchy Quill, a podcast where we talk about publishing from a feminist perspective. We also do guest mini interviews, and today we have author JoAnne Spiller, who has
Hello.
written, let me see if I can remember the name of, no, I wrote it down here because but it was a jewelry book by about Bill Smith, Visionary
Yes.
Designs. I knew it
Yes.
was about Bill Smith and it was a jewelry book. I just couldn't
Yes.
remember the title. I was like, that's why I write notes because, but we were at the table after at the after party, and JoAnne came over, and one of the people with me, I think it was Robin, admired her necklace, and then we got a whole wonderful story about Bill Smith and about her experience, your experiences and stuff with this book. But we're going to start with Cardyn asking you a question, and then we'll get to those other things in a minute.
Yes.
Perfect.
So welcome.
Yes, welcome. And then tell everybody how we met you.
We all met because I was searching for book festivals to attend in 2025, and it didn't necessarily matter where it was. I can travel. My husband has a lot of frequent flyer miles,
Nice.
and I was really taken by the whole concept behind your particular book festival, where it is women writers. And as a woman writer, I was really excited to be able to be in a space with only other women writers. I think we all have a different perspective and a different appreciation for what we write. And my topic is definitely very feminine, and so it seemed like a good fit to go to your book festival. So that's how I found you. You were number, I think, 6 out of 7 that I did this year.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
actually a
We're
lot.
glad we made the cut.
Yes, yeah. And I got to go to Maryland, and I haven't been there in forever. So it was wonderful.
Oh,
Well, we're glad to have you back and see you here in Maryland. Maryland missed you. um, so I'm going to ask you the question that I try to ask almost every interviewee because I always want to know the answer to this question as a reader and as a writer, and I think a lot of readers want to know this question. I think because yours is nonfiction and because it's very specifically in a niche, we're going to know a little bit about why. But why did you become a writer? We know you like jewelry and we know you like Bill Smith, but why did you decide to write this book?
Actually, I didn't know anything about Bill or his jewelry until 2020. The museum I work for closed during COVID, and we were doing inventory of all 10,000 items that we host. And there's a computer program you have to use for a museum archive. It's complex. There's a lot of spaces to fill in. And it turns out when we got to our small items collection that we had 2 pieces of his that were donated by a local woman, as well as a newspaper article. And because I didn't know anything about the pieces or him in general, and I needed to fill in some boxes, I went onto the internet and started researching Bill and his work. And he was actually from Madison, Indiana, which is where I am right now. He was born and raised here, born in 1933. He graduated in 1951. At the time, only his senior year was in a integrated school. And so then he went to IU Bloomington for 3 semesters to study sculpture and dance. And
Was
after
Bill
3
Smith a
semesters,
person? I'm sorry, was Bill Smith a person of color?
yes, he was.
Okay, all right.
Yes, he was. So he went to IU to dance and learn sculpture. And because I believe it's because his younger sister needed to come up and go to college, and they were very, very blue collar family, he left to go to New York and start his own career as a dancer. Well, there weren't enough roles for a Black man in 1953. And so he ended up going back to his artistic side and becoming a jewelry designer. So that's how he got his start. And that's the rabbit hole I went down into, trying to figure out who he was and what his life was like, and then trying to create a catalog of his work, which has never been done before.
Oh, wow.
So he was local, which is where I got that whole inspiration from.
This is your first book.
It is technically my first book.
Okay.
I did revise a previously published book called Lucky Year by Dorothy Aldis. And she wrote about Madison, Indiana, where I live now. And it was historical fiction about the hog drives they used to have here and how Jenny Lind came to town to sing. And she was a very famous German opera singer back in the day. And P.T. Barnum was her handler. And so there's this whole sort of mythical event about her, and to the point where things didn't happen the way they should have. And P.T. Barnum basically erased the visit here from all of his history.
Oh, wow.
But as an educator for the museum, what I did was I did not change any text, but because history needs to be factual, more so now than ever, I went through, and it was my first foray into research. I found tickets, I found steamboat schedules, I found articles about steamboat races. And so what I did was I compiled that in the same book, but it's for teachers in the 3rd grade to use with their programs. And it's got a lot of hands-on activities and a lot of back history, and it's got beautiful color photos in it, where before the original book was just pen and ink, which doesn't appeal to anybody anymore. So basically, which is sad, but basically I revamped it in 2000, can't remember if it was 16 or 18. And every 3rd grade classroom in our county now has a copy of that they use in their classroom. So, but I didn't write it. I just made it better and
you gave it some
factual.
love.
You're
more
a big
factual.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your book is not just like some people pick up a book about jewelry. They think it's just about the jewelry designs. It's about Bill Smith.
It is. It's as much information about his life as I could find. I have actually, this computer is sitting on half of my newspaper articles. I have almost 1,000 newspaper references to him and his work.
Wow.
Which includes Women's Wear Daily. And I have a slideshow that I bring to the book festivals that shows all 187 fashion magazine photos that feature his work, because I can't afford to put them in the book.
Right.
Getty wants $500 an image.
Yes.
I have a slideshow that I take with me that shows in the background. And so you can see, and it's chronological.
Yes.
And you can see how his work evolved over the years. And it's a way of me to get all that information in, because my book would be 1,000 pages.
Right.
And nobody can afford that, and I can't afford to print it. So
Well, fascinating. And so are you designing this jewelry that you wear, have in the background?
No, so this one right here is one of his. I always wear his jewelry wherever I go. It's got, see the little people on the arms and legs on it? Each one is signed. And then the earrings are also part of that collection. So this is one he designed for Laguna. And I don't know if you can see behind me, I tried to set up some jewelry in the background that shows different pieces from different collections that he designed. So the book is a catalog of his work, which has involved a lot of research with Women's Wear Daily and newspapers, not just magazines. There are some books that feature his work besides mine. But it's the first one that's been done, and it's the most comprehensive at this point. And I submitted my book last March, so a year ago March, so not last, but a year ago March. It was published July 1st of 2024. And since then, I probably have come across 25 more pieces that I don't have in the original book.
Oh, wow.
Including this one. So I have a second edition in the works that will include the newer pieces that I found. And I do continue to research. After I left Maryland, I went to Philadelphia, because the Philadelphia Museum of Art holds 2 pieces of his body jewelry in their collection. And they allowed me to see those 2 pieces while I was there. And, I was encouraging them to borrow the exhibit so they can kind of flesh out a nice one about Bill Smith. But They had some records that I was looking into. So that crossed off another item on my list of things to research. I'm pretty close to the end of my list, but there are still some sources I've not yet been able to track down.
Yes.
And I was in Chicago early July, and they had some records from Ebony Fashion Fair, which he was a part of from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was great, except there were no notes. And it was just 6 binders of the same pictures over and over and over.
Right,
And
right,
and it
right,
gave me no information that I
right,
was looking for, unfortunately.
right.
So, but
So
I
what would
crossed off that box, I checked it off, and it's I've exhausted that particular resource. And
Right.
so, but nonfiction is basically keeping a very detailed list and checking it off.
Yeah.
I had someone ask me, what is the number one thing you need to do writing nonfiction? And I said, you have to be extremely organized. If you Google Bill Smith, a lot of times you'll come up with Art Smith, the other
Mm.
black jewelry designer,
Mhm.
or Willie Smith, the black clothing designer. There's also a white Bill Smith who was a clothing designer, and they were almost contemporaries, which is why he put TJ at the end of his name for
Right.
the jeweler as opposed to the clothing designer.
Wow.
So a
okay.
lot of times you'll find, I'll search for it and it'll come across and it will be either Art or the other Bill.
Mhm.
That's
But I
that's
still have
really
to go through
interesting.
every source
Right,
So
because there's nothing in my book that I have not personally verified.
do
right.
they
Because you have to
sell
say
your
it's,
book at the
pardon?
museum? Do they sell your book at museums where they have Bill Smith pieces?
Well, we sell it where I work at the Historical Society. It was supposed to go to Fort Wayne when they held the exhibit last year, but uh, an issue with the publishing company meant it wasn't ready in time, and the exhibit closed before I could get it there.
Oh, darn.
But Philadelphia Museum of Art now has one in their collection in their archives,
Nice.
and the Smithsonian Museum of African American History has 2 copies.
Nice.
Because they let me use pictures from Ebony for free.
Yes. Oh, great.
Yes, and so it's been a very collaborative
Yes.
effort. And the exhibit is supposed to be going to the Wright Museum of African American Art in Detroit
Okay.
next year for 6 months.
Are you going to get
Oh,
a chance to go out and visit them?
Well, I'm going to have to because I'm in charge of the exhibit.
Oh, that's
congratulations.
great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
That's amazing.
when you started, what was your vision for how you thought it would unfold, and at what point did you think, oh, this is much bigger than I imagined?
It came pretty quickly. So
Okay.
initially, we decided to build on the couple of pieces that we had at the museum. And I did have an exhibit in 2023. And looking back at it now, I mean, we could have, but I had zero budget. I said I
Yeah,
had
right. Did
$0
what
to
you could.
spend,
Yes.
and it was fine. It was very well received by the community. And at that point, when the exhibit was up, a gentleman that worked with Bill Smith, who lives in the next county over, Clifton Nicholson, also a Cody Award winner, came to see the exhibit. And my boss had been saying to me, you need to call Clifton, you need to talk to him. And I said, why would I call a man who's a famous jewelry designer in his own right and ask him about somebody else? And they parted terribly. They never
Mm,
spoke after the
mm,
Cody Awards. Why would I drag that up? And it
right,
just made me uncomfortable. So
right.
one day he just walks in, and we let him spend all the time he wanted with
Yes,
the exhibit on his
yes,
own. And he
yes.
came back and we had a discussion. And then 2 weeks later, he called me and he said, I have something for you. Can I come to the museum? And I said, absolutely. And he showed up with a great big paper tote full of Bill's jewelry, original
What?
designs. Original designs.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, including one that was from his original company, Smith St. Jacques. which was the only time I had seen that cartouche. So it was a big deal. And so then our collection exploded by 150 pieces.
Oh
I
my
had
What?
sourced about 50 myself for the
Yeah,
museum.
yeah.
And then we had this come in, and then Clifton would have me come over to his house, and he's been a very good mentor to me. And at
Yes.
one point he looked at me and he said, "You need to write a book about his life." His life ended without fanfare. He
Mm,
said, and you need to do something about that because he
mm,
really was very talented and his work needs to be in the forefront. And so I would go over and spend some time with Clifton, and he got to see the first draft of my book, walked me through some of it. He'd say, well, this one's upside down, or this one's
mm.
on
Oh,
backwards,
oh,
or,
wow.
something to that effect. And if I had a question about a piece, I would bring it over and he would look at it and he'd say, well, I only worked with him for 2 years, but it could be. And
Oh,
then it would just help me
right,
in my
right,
research. But
right.
he's been one of my top supporters. I mean, besides my wonderful husband and family.
Mm,
Um, and so without him, I don't know that I would have had the courage to create this book.
yeah.
So,
That's has he, and I can understand, I think I know what the answer is, but I just am so curious. Has Clifton, it feels like his approach is maybe healing something. Like you
yes,
mentioned that they parted ways horribly, but it
very
feels
badly.
like some sort of, I don't have the quite perfect word for it, but it's doing something
It gave
healing.
him some closure.
Okay.
It did, because when he came in, he said, "Is he still alive?" And I said, "No." And at the time, I was told he died in 1984 or
Mhm,
89.
mhm.
And it turns out that's not the case. He didn't die until 1991.
Oh,
But Clifton had literally not spoken to him since the Cody Awards,
right.
when Clifton also won, even though he was working for Bill, and Bill
Ah,
had put all these years in, and
yes,
Clifton was brand new to the scene.
yes,
He gets a Cody. Well, I can understand why they didn't talk.
right.
Yeah.
But I did speak with the late John Haggins, clothing designer.
Yeah,
He and I were supposed to meet in New York
yes.
in 2024.
Mhm.
And it turns out that he passed away. He came back
Mm.
from a trip and he fell, and I think he hit his head,
Oh,
and but he
mm,
he and Bill had been like brothers for
mm,
years. And I so regret that we didn't have the chance to have that
mm.
conversation, because
Yeah,
people in town, I mean, he was born in 33.
yeah,
He'd have been 90 some. There
right,
aren't many people around that
yeah,
knew him
right,
anymore. And
right.
when he left, he never came back.
Wow,
This was not a very accepting community for Bill.
right.
Sounds like.
So he needed to go someplace where he
Yeah,
could thrive
yeah,
and he could be
yeah,
successful. And so he didn't. He didn't
It's
come
hard
back.
for a visionary in the Midwest, I guess.
yeah.
Very true, but also the fact that he was gay was not accepted.
Yeah.
So he basically had two strikes against him in this small
Right,
town that we live
right,
in.
right.
So,
But and but how, I mean, so there's his work, which is spectacular, and then you find out the details of his backstory, and you think about what kind of fortitude
oh
it
my.
takes to leave where you're from, even if
Mm-hmm.
there are,
Sure.
obstacles and things that are keeping you from being accepted, but it's still where
Yes.
you're from.
Yes.
And then to go somewhere else and pursue what your passion, your purpose, your
Mm-hmm.
artistry, and
Mm-hmm.
then to make it.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I mean, he was the youngest vice president of Richelieu. He'd been
Oh,
working on contract for them for about 3 months. And then they're like, we'd like you to be vice president. And he was for 2 years. He'd had his own company ahead of time, but there are a lot of quotes, and I have a lot of quotes in the book
yes,
because I feel like that's the only way people can
yes,
hear his voice
yes,
is through
yes.
what he's done in interviews. He said, I just he learned everything he could from everyone he met,
Mm-hmm.
and he was extremely driven. It was his. It came out so often in the newspaper articles about how single-minded he was about getting his business off the ground, and his early business didn't have the manufacturing capabilities that a bigger company did. And
Right.
his goal was to get it out into the world. He just
Yes.
wanted people to wear his
Yes.
jewelry.
Yes.
And Richelieu was the best way to do that. And then once he was under their umbrella, he left. I think it had to do with creative differences with the
Right.
then president
Yeah.
of the company. Then he went back to his own company, and then, but he contracted for Cartier, Hattie
Mm.
Carnegie, all these other places. He designed a very tragic men's clothing collection. Think Star Trek, 70s polyester.
He just was ahead of his, again,
Oh,
too far ahead of his time.
it was kind of rough. And then he did furs for Ben Kahn, and he did some leather goods for Mark Cross. And
Mm.
my unicorn is finding either a fur coat or a leather good that has his name on it. Now, I don't even know if he was allowed to sign those pieces,
Right. Right.
but I have enough pictures and sketches and descriptions that
Yeah.
it's on my Google search. And if
Oh,
something pops up, I'm the
right.
first one looking at it to see if
Yes.
it's something that could have possibly been his.
Well,
That's all fascinating.
and
That's
this is
all.
so niche. I love it. Like
Yeah.
anybody who is interested in visionary art or jewelry or the history of a gay
Mhm,
artist or a black
mhm,
artist or a black
mhm.
gay artist, like you got
Yep.
all of that. You got it
Yeah.
Oh,
all.
absolutely. Absolutely. And his stuff is in several museums. Philadelphia, I got to see the pieces at the Met when I
Mhm.
was doing research. They have a piece at Yale in their
Mhm.
art collection. I just came across one at the Nelson Atkins Museum in Kansas City, and there's one in Philadelphia. I can't remember the name of the college, but the
Mhm.
young woman that I worked with in Fort Wayne on the exhibit is now doing graduate school in Philadelphia. And she was messaging me and saying, we have a piece of Bill's jewelry in our collection. And I said, well, they need to
Nice.
get the book to go with it. So,
Yeah.
That's right.
um, yeah, yeah.
So that segues us nicely into Cardyn's next question. I'm gonna have a little sip of
Sure.
water.
Are we? We're. I'm so fascinated by the conversation. I'm like, I'm not paying attention to our. So, we know that for authors, obviously, you want people to um, buy the book, review the book, and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
What are kind of your top three things that you wish readers and your supporters, fans of you, fans of Bill's work, um, when you're thinking like, oh, I wish people would do these three things. What are
Mhm.
those three things?
Write a review. I probably have 250 books out there. I have like 14 reviews. And
Wow.
some people, it's because we're in a small town. And I think I sold 45 books at my book signing, which was a year ago
Yeah.
today. But they're all friends, and I think they're afraid of hurting my feelings, or they don't know what to say. And I said, I don't care what you
Right,
can be anonymous. I don't
right,
care.
right, right.
But please write a review,
Or even
because
just
it's very important.
drop 4 or 5 stars in there and peace out. You don't have to leave a review.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I have had people that have purchased the book that have contacted me and said, well, how can I become the owner of a piece of history?
Mm,
And I say, well, I don't get commission, but I'm certainly happy to help you find a piece that's within
mhm,
your budget.
yeah,
If you would like to uh, ask me a question. And I've had people send information, pictures to my blog. I get
yeah,
the craziest stories about Bill Smith jewelry. Um, And so people will send me pictures and say, what do you think the value is? And I don't value.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Because
That's yeah.
it's not my job.
Right,
Right.
right.
It's costume
And how do you
jewelry.
do that with a picture anyway? I mean, you have to be with the piece.
You
Yeah.
can't. But I've also been able to say, you think it's 18 karat gold, but if he did it for Richelieu, it's gold plated.
Right.
I know you'd like to think this big old honking piece
Yeah.
of jewelry is worth $1 million, but it's not.
Right.
But I have found people some pieces that they absolutely love. I have a couple of devotees now, one in New York and one in Florida, that they get so excited when they find a piece, or if they think I'll be interested in it, they'll send the link to me and say, "Did you see this? This one's up for auction." And it's kind of this club that we're in.
Yeah, it's
And
What's the
nice.
name of your blog? What's the name of your
the
blog?
name of my blog it's just my name.
Okay.
You can find me at JoAnneSpiller.com.
Okay.
JoAnneSpiller.com. And I'm behind. I have not posted anything
That's okay.
about the last two book festivals, I think. But I've been on vacation. We've had a lot going on here. But I know that that's important to keep up with all the social media. But I tell you what, I hate the marketing part.
Yeah.
I do.
You're preaching to the choir
least.
on that. I'm not gonna bust your chops about that.
We try to do our best to not make marketing feel like marketing. We like to feel like a cup of tea with a friend and talking about
I get that. And I've done TV interviews, I have done book signings, I've done presentations.
It's hard.
I've done a bunch of podcasts. But to me, I think the issue is I have a hard time promoting myself in this project because it's not really about me.
I know, but
This
your
book
joy,
is about
your joy and interest in it comes through very clearly.
yes,
like
that's true.
your passion for this project,
yes.
it is coming through. So
and your appreciation for the art and the artist comes through as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I just want him to be remembered. And
you're doing a good job. I never heard of it before I had that chat with you at the book festival. I'm sorry. One of the things I don't like about having such a big book festival is I don't have time to stop at everybody's table and meet everybody.
It's a lot.
It's hard because, sometimes people come up and say hello to me that are a vendor at my event and I don't recognize them. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's, I can make it happen. I just can't be in all the places at once. But
I hear you.
this is interesting to me. And I think it's fascinating. And I think what you're wonderful. And we really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Talk to us about it.
Absolutely.
For anybody that wants to know, we will be putting links and stuff down in the information for the event. Candace,
I appreciate that.
You want to drive us home?
Sure. So thank you. Hold on, let me not rely on my memory.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and Cardyn's gonna read us out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It was wonderful to see you two again. Thank you so much.
Oh yes, and thank you for just participating in our final hurrah for the Right Women Book Fest. Let's see if I can get down to what I'm supposed to say. Give me a few seconds. Oh, here it is. Thank you for joining us on the Bitchy Quill. Please look for more episodes where we discuss publishing from a feminist perspective and our guest mini-sodes here on YouTube. If you'd like to be a guest on the Bitchy Quill, please email us at therightwomenbookfest@gmail.com. Info will be in the episode information.
That's it. All right.
Perfect.
Well, bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for making the time, especially on the holiday weekend.
Yes.
Oh, no worries.